Imagine losing $100,000 on the sale of your home just because you wanted to save a few $100 5 years ago.
Yeah, that is a terrifying thought.
Right. Picture this scenario. You are sitting at the closing table. You are ready to hand over the keys. The buyers have their pens out, but then their agent slides a piece of paper across the desk.
Oh, I know where this is going.
It is a municipal inspection report flagging an unpermitted kitchen renovation. The buyers immediately demand a massive credit, or they just walk away. Suddenly, your huge real estate payout completely evaporates.
And, it happens every single day in this market. People think they're pulling off a brilliant life hack by avoiding the local building department.
Yeah, exactly.
But they are actually setting a ticking time bomb under their biggest financial asset.
Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. We are speaking to you today straight from the editorial desk at the Renology magazine. As the lead editor on this story, I want to give you total editorial clarity on, well, the most stressful renovation question you will ever face as a homeowner.
Right. It is a very specific high-stakes dilemma.
It really is. Should you pull a permit, or should you just pay a contractor in cash and keep the city out of it?
Today, we're looking at the Q1 2026 NAHB Westlake Royal Remodeling Market Index to understand the current market conditions.
Right.
And we are pairing that data with a major feature article from our own magazine titled Permit, Pulled, or Cash Job. The mission here is to look at the cold, hard facts. We want to give you a framework for making the right call before you tear down a single wall.
So let us unpack this by anchoring the discussion right away in our 2026 financial reality.
Sounds good.
When we look at the data from the National Association of Home Builders, we see that the actual municipal permit fees are generally just, 1 to 2% of a project budget.
Which is really not that much.
No, it is not. Let us visualize a $75,000 kitchen remodel. That is a very standard national benchmark for a mid-range to upscale kitchen right now.
Yep, very typical.
The actual permit fees paid to the city on that project are only about $750 to $1,500.
But we also have to factor in the contractor management side, right? That is where the real sticker shock usually happens for homeowners.
Oh, for sure.
Having your contractor manage those code-compliant plans, stand in line at City Hall, and coordinate the inspection schedule, that usually adds 5 to 10% to the project bid.
Because it takes a lot of time.
Exactly. A professional contractor has to price in the time their crew spends waiting around for a city inspector to show up between 8 in the morning and noon.
Right. They are literally paying guys to sit there.
Yeah. So that $75,000 kitchen realistically comes up to roughly $80,000 or $82,500 when it is done completely by the book.
It almost feels like buying a classic vintage sports car, parking it in your garage, and then leaving the keys in the ignition with the garage door wide open, just to save $50 on a padlock. I mean, you are leaving your biggest investment completely unprotected to save a tiny fraction of the total cost.
That is a great way to look at it. And once we establish those upfront costs, the conversation naturally shifts to the hidden catastrophic costs of skipping that paperwork.
The stuff that comes back to haunt you.
Right. This brings us to the false economy of the cash job. The data is incredibly clear on this. Unpermitted work can devalue a home by 10 to 20% at resale.
Wow.
Yeah, let's do the math on a $500,000 house. Saving $7,500 up front by skipping the permit process could easily mean a $50,000 to $100,000 loss when you finally go to sell the property.
Wait. If I am touring an open house and the kitchen looks pristine, I mean, the countertops are perfect, the cabinets are perfectly aligned, why would I even care if the previous owner pulled a permit?
That is a fair question.
If it functions well and looks beautiful, the average buyer is not going to ask for the municipal paperwork, right?
Well, the buyer might not ask, sure, but the buyer's inspector is going to look closely at the mechanical systems. Home inspectors have become incredibly sophisticated lately.
That is true. They really dig into everything.
They will spot a brand new electrical subpanel or shiny new plumbing vents on the roof. They check the date codes stamped on the materials.
Oh, I did not even think about the date codes.
Yeah. Then they simply pull up the municipal records on their tablet right there in the driveway. If the last permit on file for the house is from 20 years ago, that beautiful kitchen instantly turns into a massive legal and financial liability.
That makes total sense.
The National Association of Home Builders report actually shows that unpermitted work is a factor in up to 40% of home sales that fall through during the inspection phase.
40% is a staggering failure rate. And the sources mention a 2024 Zillow survey noting that 36% of sellers had to make repairs, or they had to offer significant financial credits specifically due to unpermitted work found by buyers.
Right. It is a huge issue.
You think you are getting a deal from a buddy who works for cash, but you end up paying for it at the closing table with a massive deduction from your home's equity.
Because the financial risks of getting caught are so severe, well, you have to know exactly when the rules apply. We need a clear framework for defining what actually requires a permit so you aren't just guessing.
Okay, so what is the framework?
This brings us to a very simple three-part rule. If a project touches structural, electrical, or plumbing systems, a permit is mandatory. There is no gray area there at all.
How does that actually translate to a normal weekend project, though?
It means moving load-bearing walls to create an open concept, or adding new electrical outlets for a home office, or even shifting the plumbing drain lines for a new kitchen island. All of that requires municipal oversight.
Because you are fundamentally altering the safety systems of the house.
Exactly. On the flip side, purely cosmetic changes do not require a permit. These are known as like-for-like changes.
Like painting a room, right?
Yeah, painting, putting down new hardwood floors, or swapping a kitchen faucet for a new one in the exact same spot. Those are considered maintenance, not a renovation.
It feels a bit like swapping the tires on your car versus replacing the entire transmission. Swapping the tires is a maintenance swap. You are just putting new rubber where the old rubber used to be.
Right.
But changing out the transmission alters how the machine fundamentally operates and interacts with the engine. That requires a verified, licensed mechanic to sign off on the work.
We also have to look at the specific 2026 landscape to understand why this is happening so frequently right now.
Yeah, it feels like it is everywhere.
We are in a very unique economic moment. Interest rates have stabilized from the wild volatility of the past few years, but they remain much higher than the historical lows we saw a decade ago.
Right. Money is just more expensive to borrow.
Exactly. This economic pressure tempts a lot of homeowners to cut corners. They accept cash job offers because their borrowing power is lower, and they are trying to stretch their available cash.
But the sources make it clear that cutting corners right now means you are literally leaving federal money on the table.
Oh, big time.
The Inflation Reduction Act tax credits are in full swing for homeowners. If you are installing energy-efficient upgrades like heat pumps or upgrading your electrical panel to handle a new induction stove, there are massive tax credits available.
But you need the paperwork.
Exactly. The IRS requires a paper trail. If you do the work with an unpermitted cash job, you forfeit that federal money completely. You save a little on the contractor, but you lose thousands in tax rebates.
This brings up the realities of modern building codes, too. More towns and municipalities have adopted the 2024 International Residential Code.
And that is a lot stricter, right?
It is. This updated code requires stricter insulation standards to lower energy grids, and it mandates arc fault circuit interrupters.
Those are the special breakers.
Yeah, they are specific types of breakers that detect dangerous electrical arcs before they cause a fire. If you hire a rogue contractor doing a cash job, they are likely not following the 2024 IRC.
Because it is cheaper to use the old stuff.
Right. They are probably using cheap, outdated materials.
Mm-hmm.
So your home will be less safe, far less efficient, and totally non-compliant with modern standards.
Knowing the rules is only half the battle, though. Now you have to navigate the human element of the renovation.
The fun part.
Yeah. You have to deal with municipal inspectors, and you have to actually hire the right contractor. Let us reframe how we look at the building inspector.
Okay.
A lot of our readers at the Renology tell us they view the inspector as a local government revenue collector whose only job is to cause delays and fail people on technicalities.
We really need to shift that perspective for the homeowner. Building inspectors are not bureaucratic enemies.
No, they are really not.
Think of them as the cheapest form of third-party quality control you can possibly hire. They verify 3 critical things on your behalf.
What is the first one?
First is life safety. They make sure the stairs are the right height so you don't trip, and the smoke detectors are wired correctly into the home's grid.
Okay, that is super important.
Second is code compliance. They ensure the plumbing is vented properly through the roof so explosive sewer gas does not build up inside your walls.
Yikes.
Yeah, you do not want that. Third, they verify adherence to the approved plans, so your contractor cannot just make unauthorized, cheap changes on the fly to save themselves money.
They are essentially the only person walking onto the job site who isn't trying to make a profit off of you. Their singular job is to make sure your house does not fall down or catch fire while you are sleeping.
This is exactly why a contractor actively pushing for a cash job is a massive red flag.
Right.
If a professional tells you that you do not need a permit for a major structural or electrical change, it indicates one of three things. They are unlicensed, they are uninsured, or they know their own craftsmanship is so poor that they are incapable of passing a basic safety inspection.
That is terrifying to think about. You are inviting a liability right into your living room.
You really are.
To protect yourself, we have pulled 3 crucial questions from the sources that every homeowner must ask a contractor before signing a single piece of paper. Number 1, how do you handle the permitting process?
A reputable contractor won't hesitate. They will say they handle the entire process from start to finish, and they will clearly itemize those permit fees and their management time in their initial bid.
Number 2, can you provide your state license and insurance?
They should readily offer to email you their license number and their current certificates for both general liability and workers' compensation insurance. You need to see the actual certificates, not just take their word for it.
Number 3, what is your process for handling changes to the scope of work?
This is what protects you from surprise bills at the end of the month. They should require a formal, written change order that details the new work and the exact costs. You must sign that document before they proceed with any extra work.
But what if I find a contractor I really like and their work looks great? To save that 5 to 10% management fee we talked about earlier, what if I just go down to City Hall and pull the permit myself?
Oh, boy.
I mean, I fill out all the paperwork, I pay the city the $1,500, and then I just let the contractor do the manual labor. Doesn't that solve the problem while saving me money?
I firmly advise against taking that route. What you're describing is known as a homeowner builder permit.
Okay.
When you pull the permit in your own name, you are legally declaring yourself the general contractor of the project. You instantly absorb all the legal and financial liability.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If a worker falls off a ladder and gets hurt on your property, you are responsible. Your homeowner's insurance is going to take the hit, and you could be sued personally.
That is a huge risk.
It is. If the work fails inspection, the city looks at you, not the worker, to pay for the cost of tearing it out and fixing it. It is a massive risk that is rarely worth the marginal savings on the management fee.
So you are basically paying them to take on the risk.
Exactly. You hire a professional general contractor specifically so they carry that heavy liability burden, not you.
You do not want to take on professional catastrophic liability for a job you aren't actually performing. Now, having covered the immediate risks of construction and the devastation at resale, we need to examine the long-term, quiet threats to your property rights.
The stuff that sneaks up on you later.
Right. These are the threats that linger in the walls for years after a cash job is supposedly finished and the contractor is long gone.
This is where we have to look at the hidden insurance realities.
Mm.
Let us walk through a very common nightmare scenario.
Okay, lay on me.
Imagine you pay cash to have your basement finished. You put up drywall, add some recessed lighting, and build a nice entertainment center. 3 years later, a fire starts inside the wall because of faulty, unpermitted wiring that was improperly spliced.
Oh.
The fire department puts out the blaze, and then the fire marshal comes out to conduct a forensic investigation. They will easily trace the origin of the fire back to that specific new wiring. They can see exactly where the copper melted and arced it.
And what happens when the insurance adjuster gets that report and checks the city records?
Well, when the insurance company finds out there is no permit on file for that basement electrical work, they have the legal right to deny your entire claim.
The whole thing.
Yes. They will argue that the unpermitted, non-code compliant work created a severe risk they never agreed to cover in your policy. You could literally lose your entire house to the fire and still owe the bank the full balance of your mortgage.
That is the definition of a total catastrophe. It completely wipes out your family's financial security overnight. There's another financial angle we need to address here.
The taxes, right?
Yes, it is a very common fear I hear from readers of our magazine all the time. People actively avoid pulling permits because they think it will automatically alert the town and hike up their annual property taxes.
This requires a major editorial reframe. It is true that a major addition, like adding a new master bedroom suite or expanding the physical footprint of the house, will eventually trigger a reassessment from the tax office.
Right, because the house is bigger?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this reassessment is simply a reflection of increased equity. Your home is quite literally worth more money on the open market.
Trying to hide an asset's increased value from the tax assessor by doing unpermitted work is a foolish trade-off. It jeopardizes the entire investment.
It really does.
You are taking on massive physical risk devastating insurance risk, and a huge resale penalty just to dodge a marginal increase in your annual tax bill.
You are stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. It is a complete miscalculation of risk versus reward.
It is like winning the lottery and then stuffing your millions under a mattress because you don't want to pay a $12 monthly bank maintenance fee.
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy.
You are risking the entire fortune, exposing it to theft, fire, or loss, just to save pennies on the margins. It makes zero logical sense when you step back and look at the whole board.
Knowledge really is most valuable when it is understood and applied properly. The municipal rules are not there to punish you or drain your bank account.
No.
They were there to protect the structural integrity, the fire safety, and the long-term financial viability of your home.
We have covered a lot of ground today. We went through the upfront costs and the 2026 economic pressures. We discussed the resale devastation, the simple three-part rule for what needs a permit, and the hidden insurance and tax realities.
It is a lot to take in.
It is. This brings us to the editorial, so what? What should you, the listener, do this week with all this information?
The action item for you is very clear. Before you sign any bids or hand over any cash deposits to a contractor, you need to pick up the phone and call your local building department.
Just call them directly.
Yes. Tell them about your specific project in detail and confirm the permit requirements directly with them. Let the city tell you the rules before a contractor tries to sell you a shortcut.
Let the building department be the bad guy if they have to be, but get the facts straight from the source. Don't rely on a contractor who might be financially incentivized to skip the paperwork and rush to the next job.
This raises one final, provocative question for us to consider as we look at the future of real estate.
Oh, what is that?
As buyers become hyper-aware of the financial ruin attached to unpermitted work, are we heading toward a fractured real estate market?
What do you mean?
Think about it. Will we soon see the rise of an as-is, unpermitted discount housing tier? A market that completely separates legally verified permitted homes from cash job homes.
Wow, if the market splits like that, the value of a verified, fully permitted home will skyrocket, while the cash job homes will languish at steep, punishing discounts.
Exactly. It is a very real possibility.
It is something to keep in mind as you make decisions today that will dictate the future value of your own property. It all goes back to that vintage sports car in the garage. If you are going to invest the money to build something beautiful, don't forget to pay for the locks and the doors. Protect your investment. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the realities of renovation.